Imagine it is 15,000 years ago, and the only thing between your family and the darkness is a dying fire. You are tired, hungry, cold, and listening to every tiny sound moving somewhere beyond the orange circle of light. Then you hear it, a soft rustle, a slow breath, and paws pressing quietly against frozen ground. Your hand moves toward your spear, because in this world, hesitation can become death in one heartbeat. But the animal does not attack. It does not run. It simply stands there, watching the fire. Two yellow eyes stare from the darkness, not with rage, but with hunger, fear, and strange curiosity. That moment may have changed human history more than any spear, cave painting, or stone blade ever could. Because the creature outside the firelight was not yet a dog. It was a wolf, and wolves were dangerous. So why did one wolf step closer, while another stayed hidden in the trees, waiting for blood? And why did one human lower the spear instead of throwing it straight into those shining eyes? This is the mystery of how wolves became dogs, and the truth is stranger than most people imagine. Humans did not wake up one morning and decide to domesticate one of nature's most efficient predators. No Stone Age genius looked at a wolf and calmly said, "This monster would look adorable on a sofa." The beginning was messier, slower, more dangerous, and honestly much more unbelievable than that simple story. It began with hunger, garbage, firelight, fear, and two species that should never have trusted each other. Dogs are not separate wild animals that appeared naturally beside humans, already friendly and waiting for names. Biologically, dogs come from gray wolves, one of the most powerful social predators humans ever encountered. Every dog, from a huge guarding breed to the smallest nervous lapdog, carries that ancient wolf inheritance. This means every wagging tail, every soft stare, and every joyful bark began with an animal built to hunt. Somewhere in the Stone Age, humans and wolves entered a relationship that should have ended in blood. Instead, it became one of the most successful partnerships in the entire history of life on Earth. But when did it start? Scientists still debate the timeline because the evidence is frustratingly complicated. Current estimates place dog domestication somewhere between 15,000 and 40,000 years ago, depending on which evidence matters most. That range is huge because bones decay, DNA gets confusing, and ancient camps rarely preserve clean answers. What we do know is this: dogs were the first animals humans ever domesticated, long before farming began. Before cows gave milk, before horses carried riders, before goats stood inside fences, dogs were already beside us. This relationship began while humans were still hunter-gatherers, moving through wild landscapes and surviving day by day. There were no villages, no barns, no written plans, and no idea that agriculture would later transform everything. So dog domestication was not a farming project. It began deep in the hunter-gatherer world of danger. That is what makes it so fascinating, because humans were not looking for pets at the beginning. The old romantic story says a brave hunter found wolf puppies, carried them home, and raised loyal companions. It sounds beautiful, but it probably misses the real mechanism that made dogs possible in the first place. Adult wolves are not simply wild dogs waiting for affection. They are wolves, with instincts shaped by survival. Even wolf pups raised by humans can remain unpredictable, intense, and deeply different from domestic dogs. You can feed them, shelter them, and treat them gently. But biology does not disappear through kindness alone. That is why the idea of one prehistoric person taming wolves by confidence alone is probably wrong. The more powerful theory is almost shocking when you first hear it. Wolves helped domesticate themselves. They did not understand evolution, of course. They did not have a plan, a goal, or a future breed standard. But some wolves discovered something valuable around human camps, food that appeared again and again. As humans became better hunters, they left behind bones, scraps, organs, broken carcasses, and discarded animal parts. For a starving scavenger watching from the forest, a human camp was not just dangerous, it was opportunity. Most wolves stayed away because humans had spears, fire, voices, stones, and the terrifying confidence of group hunters. But a few wolves were slightly less afraid, slightly calmer, and slightly more willing to approach the edge of camp. Those wolves did not need to be friendly yet. They only needed to be brave enough to wait nearby. If they came too close, humans might kill them. If they stayed too far, they missed the scraps. So the first step toward doghood may have been a perfect distance, close enough to eat, far enough to survive. This created a strange new selection pressure that neither humans nor wolves consciously designed. The wolves who tolerated humans got more food, while the more fearful wolves remained deeper in the wild. The least aggressive scavengers survived better near human camps, and their puppies inherited some of that lower fear. Generation after generation, the camp-following wolves became calmer, more observant, and less reactive around human beings. They were not dogs yet, but they were no longer acting exactly like their wild relatives either. Their survival depended on reading humans correctly, when to approach, when to retreat, when to stay invisible. That alone may have begun changing their minds because the humans were now part of their environment. Then, at some point, humans began changing too. They noticed that certain wolves were not immediate threats. Maybe those wolves warned them when larger predators came near. Maybe they cleaned scraps that attracted worse animals. Maybe they barked at strange movements in the dark, turning themselves into living alarm systems. A wolf that stayed near camp could be frightening, but it could also be useful in ways no tool could match. And once usefulness appeared, the human attitude shifted from kill it to maybe let it stay. That tiny emotional change may have opened the door for everything that followed. Still, the transformation from wolf to dog needed more than patience. It required deep biological change. One of the most important clues came from a remarkable experiment in 20th century Russia. A scientist named Dmitry Belyaev began breeding silver foxes, selecting only for one simple trait: tameness. He did not select the cutest foxes, the smallest foxes, or the ones with pretty coats. He selected the foxes that showed the least fear and aggression toward human beings. Then he repeated that process generation after generation, and something astonishing began to happen. The foxes became friendlier, but their bodies also changed in ways nobody had directly selected. Their ears became floppier, their tails curled, their coats developed patches, and their faces looked softer. They barked differently, sought human attention, and behaved in ways that seemed strangely dog-like. This revealed something powerful. Selecting for calm behavior can unlock a whole package of physical changes. Scientists often call this domestication syndrome, a pattern seen in many animals shaped by human closeness. Tameness is not just behavior floating alone in the brain. It is connected to development, hormones, and body shape. So when ancient wolves were naturally selected for lower fear around humans, other dog-like traits may have followed. Their faces softened, their stress responses changed, their bodies slowly moved away from the classic wolf design. And this may have happened faster than people once imagined, especially where selection pressure was strong. The first dog-like wolves did not need thousands of years to become noticeably different from their wild cousins. With enough pressure, nature can change behavior and appearance across surprisingly short evolutionary time. But this was not a one-sided story. Humans also had to accept these changing animals. A wolf near the fire was still dangerous, and trust would have been built carefully, mistake by mistake. Someone threw scraps instead of stones. Someone let a calm animal sleep near the edge of camp. Someone noticed that the animal returned, remembered, listened, and warned the group before danger arrived. From that point forward, the relationship had momentum because both sides were gaining something real. Wolves gained steady food, warmth, and protection from other predators. Humans gained alarms, hunting help, and companionship. The partnership worked so well that it may have happened more than once in different places. Genetic evidence suggests dog domestication may have involved multiple populations, possibly in Eurasia and beyond. That means there was not one magical campfire, one perfect wolf, or one single beginning. Instead, the pattern repeated because humans and certain wolves kept finding value in each other. Wherever hunter-gatherers created leftovers, and wherever bold wolves approached carefully, the same strange possibility appeared. The fire was not just keeping humans alive, it was drawing another species toward human destiny. Once the first semi-domesticated wolves became useful, humans likely began protecting and favoring the calmest individuals. They may have kept the puppies that stayed close, followed better, barked warnings, or helped during hunts. At that point, natural selection and human choice began working together, pushing wolves further toward dogs. This was coevolution, not simply ownership. Wolves changed because of humans, and humans changed because of wolves. The more these animals understood us, the more valuable they became. The more valuable they became, the closer they lived. Over time, dogs became something wolves had never been. Predators emotionally tuned to another species. This is why dogs are not just polite wolves. Their brains are different in extraordinary ways. Point at something, and many dogs naturally look where your finger is pointing, even with little training. Wolves, even when raised by humans, usually do not respond to human gestures in the same easy way. Dogs evolved to read us, not just as threats or food sources, but as communicative partners. They watch our faces, follow our voices, understand attention, and notice tiny changes in human behavior. This ability is so strong that dogs often seem to know what we mean before we say anything clearly. They are not reading our souls, but they are reading our bodies with astonishing precision. One of the most powerful tools they use is eye contact, something wolves treat very differently. For wolves, direct staring can be a challenge, a warning, or the beginning of conflict. For dogs, eye contact became a bridge. They look at humans to ask, understand, bond, and belong. When a dog looks into your eyes, both human and dog can release oxytocin, the bonding hormone. That is the same chemical deeply involved in attachment between mothers and infants. In other words, evolution rewired an ancient predator to trigger family feelings inside the human brain. That is not just cute. That is one of nature's most successful emotional technologies. Dogs also evolved expressions that seem almost designed to break human resistance. Researchers have found that dogs possess eyebrow muscles that help create the famous puppy dog eye expression. Wolves do not use the same expression in the same way, because they never needed to manipulate human care. But dogs did need it, and humans responded powerfully to faces that looked softer, sadder, and more childlike. A dog looking up with helpless eyes is not using words, but the message is extremely clear. Feed me, protect me, forgive me, include me, and please do not leave me outside the group. Over thousands of years, the animals best at awakening human sympathy were more likely to survive beside us. So yes, you may think you chose your dog, but their ancestors helped design that choice. By around 10,000 years ago, dogs were already deeply woven into human life and emotion. We know this because some ancient human burials include dogs, placed carefully beside people. These dogs were not thrown away like trash, and they were not treated simply as meat. They were buried with attention, sometimes positioned close to human bodies in ways that suggest companionship. Think about how remarkable that is in a world where survival consumed almost every waking hour. Ancient people faced hunger, injury, infection, cold, predators, and death with very few comforts. Yet they still spent emotional energy on dogs. They cared, remembered, and likely grieved them. That means the bond between humans and dogs was not only practical, it had become emotional. A dog was useful, yes, but it was also present in the human heart. That may be one of the oldest forms of cross-species love we can see in the archaeological record. And once that bond existed, humans began shaping dogs with more deliberate purpose. Different groups needed different animals: hunters, guards, pullers, trackers, companions, and dogs that warned before strangers arrived. Some dogs became better at following scent. Others became better at watching camps or chasing game. In cold regions, dogs may have helped pull loads, protect camps, and move across difficult landscapes. In hunting societies, they could track prey, corner animals, retrieve, or help humans coordinate pursuit. Every job created new pressures, and every pressure shaped the dog body and dog mind. Over many thousands of years, humans began turning one wolf-like ancestor into many specialized forms. The transformation was extraordinary, because few animals show the same range of shape, size, and behavior. From massive guardians to tiny companions, from fast runners to scent detectives, dogs became biological variety machines. A wolf body plan built by wild survival was pulled in dozens of human-directed directions. Some changes were practical, but others came from preference, status, beauty, or simple human imagination. Modern dog breeds, however, are much more recent than most people realize. Many breeds recognized today were formally shaped during the last few centuries, especially through selective breeding standards. That was when humans stopped simply asking what a dog could do and started demanding exactly how it should look. The result was both fascinating and troubling, because extreme breeding created beauty, identity, and sometimes serious health problems. But beneath every modern breed, however strange or elegant, there is still the shadow of a wolf. The dog sleeping on a soft blanket still carries echoes of the animal that once watched ancient fires. And that is why our relationship with dogs feels so different from our relationship with most domesticated animals. Cows gave milk, sheep gave wool, horses gave transport, chickens gave eggs. Many animals were controlled for human use. Dogs were different because they stepped into human society through cooperation, not simple capture. They helped make the night safer, the hunt stronger, the camp louder, and the group more aware. Some researchers even argue dogs may have contributed to human expansion and survival in difficult environments. That idea is not silly. A good dog could notice danger before a human heard anything. It could track animals across snow, smell what humans missed, and turn confusion into information. For Stone Age people, information was survival, and dogs became living sensors moving beside them. In return, humans gave food, shelter, protection, warmth, and eventually a place inside the social world. This mutual usefulness became mutual attachment, and mutual attachment became something close to family. That is the final twist. Humans did not simply create dogs. Dogs helped shape humans too. They changed how we hunted, guarded, traveled, mourned, and imagined the boundary between people and animals. They became part of our camps, then our graves, then our stories, then our homes. Today, that ancient bond looks ridiculous and beautiful at the same time. A descendant of wolves now wears sweaters, sleeps on pillows, steals socks, and panics when you close a bathroom door. People buy birthday cakes for dogs, speak to them in baby voices, and apologize when stepping around them. We laugh at this, but underneath the comedy is a bond older than farming, cities, and kings. When a dog runs toward you with complete joy, that emotion is not modern decoration. It is 15,000 years of mutual evolution exploding in one wagging tail. It began with hunger near a fire, but it became trust strong enough to outlast civilizations. Every empire rose and fell after that first partnership had already begun in the dark. Languages changed, gods changed, tools changed, houses changed, but humans kept dogs beside them. The wolf outside the firelight did not know it was beginning one of history's greatest alliances. The human lowering the spear did not know they were changing the future of both species. Neither side understood genetics, domestication, oxytocin, or the long path from predator to companion. They only understood that the creature returned, the fire burned, and the night felt slightly less dangerous. And maybe that was enough, because many of humanity's greatest changes began as small survival choices. One animal stepped closer, one human waited, one scrap was thrown instead of one spear. From that fragile exchange came the guardian, the hunter, the companion, the rescue dog, and the family pet. So the next time your dog stares at you while you eat, remember what you are seeing. You are not just seeing begging. You are seeing an ancient strategy perfected across thousands of generations. When your dog sleeps at your feet, you are looking at a partnership older than written history. When it reacts to your sadness, your voice, or the sound of your keys, that is inherited attention. Somewhere behind that soft face is a shadow from the Ice Age, still watching the fire. And somewhere behind your affection is an ancient human who chose not to throw the spear. That choice helped turn a feared predator into a companion, and a dangerous night into something survivable. The story of dogs is not just about wolves becoming friendly. It is about fear becoming trust. It is about two species standing at the edge of danger and discovering they were stronger together. That is why the bond feels so deep, so emotional, and sometimes so impossible to explain. It was never only training. It was never only food. It was never only human control. It was an agreement written slowly in hunger, firelight, memory, loyalty, and the language of shared survival. And after 15,000 years, the agreement is still here, every time a dog chooses to stay near us.